And with us in studio tonight, 17 News political analyst Kathy Abernathy on the right and Dr. Mark Martinez on the left. Good evening to you both. All right, we got lots to talk about here. Let's start with Justice Kennedy's pending retirement and the president's opportunity now to appoint his second U.S. Supreme Court judge. Justice Kennedy, as we mentioned, was a swing vote in many landmark cases. What would the appointment of a conservative justice mean to the direction of the high court as it goes forward from here? Let's start with you, Kathy.
Well, I think conservative justice will keep the government, state, local, federal, within the confines of what our Constitution outlines. That's the point of the court and the judicial system, and not create their own law, but be sure that we're adhering to the values and specifics of our Constitution. So I think it will be a very positive improvement. And as the difference, this president, when he was a candidate, gave out a list of who he would consider so people would know when they were voting for him. And he's added to that list since and made that list public. So his system has been very different from other presidents.
Dr. Martinez, what do you think?
You know, it's daylight savings time. We're going to be turning back the clock about 50 years if we get a conservative appointment. If you look at what's going to happen, especially with people who have been clawing and getting some of the freedoms and protections from the United States Constitution, the LGBT community, and other groups. And so what you're going to see with a conservative appointment is you're going to see one lost voice. Whatever you have to say about Kennedy, what was clear about him was that he was thoughtful, he was a thinker, being a swing vote, and that's what we're going to lose. And so I think we're looking at maybe taking a step back with a conservative appointment.
All right, and let's talk about selecting a nominee. Do you think the president will select someone with the express intent of trying to overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, it's not only that. We're talking about health care and a number of other issues. And so, you know, I think on this one, the Democratic Party, what they probably need to do is what Mitch McConnell did the last time and say, hey, let's just wait until the next election. We know that Donald Trump didn't win the majority vote, and so why don't we wait until the next election and see what's happening? I doubt that the Republicans are going to go along with that, even though that's their logic. But the reality is that we probably should take a step back and wait until after the elections.
That's right. They want it before the midterms, Kathy.
Right. Well, the difference in that case when it was said was because there was a presidential election. And what the Democrats want now is the only Supreme Court justice they'll approve is someone who agrees with them, not someone who agrees with Donald Trump. Well, I'm sorry, that's not the way it is, and I think everybody understands that. So they'll be given a choice, and I think, as we've seen, the Democrats have tried to hold up with 30 hours of debate on every judicial appointment, not just Supreme Court. Talk, 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 eat up the clock, not get anything else done to drag and slow it down. They'll do the same with this. I hope the American people put some pressure on them because ultimately the President of the United States gets to select who he wants to nominate, and their job is only to make sure he's not, you know, a lunatic, not that they agree with the other party that didn't win.
All right, let's switch gears here. Congressman McCarthy taking even more heat than usual on two fronts. Critics say he remains disengaged from the immigration debate while his constituents here at home are clamoring for reforms and a solution to the Dreamers' Dilemma. And now critics say his loyalty to the president is coming at the expense of our ag industry, to wit, his ambiguous statements about the trade wars with China and Europe, their impact on growers here in the Valley. McCarthy told us last Friday that no one wins with retaliatory trade measures, but he wants our trading partners to come back to the table, even as they're jacking up import duties on our tree nuts and so forth. And Hanford Congressman David Valadao was unequivocal. He told 17 News last Friday he wants the president to reverse the tariffs because of the harm they could cause California's ag industry. And there was an op-ed piece in the paper today, Bob Price, saying that people are wondering where Congressman McCarthy's loyalties lie. Are they to his constituents here at home, the ag industry who's worried about these tariffs, or are they more in line and lying with the president? What do you say to all that criticism? That's a lot to chew on.
Well, that's mostly Dolores Huerta, who she's a liberal, Democrat, leftist, and that's her agenda, and she's not ever a supporter of Kevin McCarthy. Agriculture, as well as other industries, are going to find that, and as they're already finding, a lot of these trade proposals of the president, they start out at one level, they come in at another level. Most of it, these tariffs he's talked about, affect 1 or 2% of the financial amount of money we're dealing with in trade. They're not massive changes. And of course, there's not going to be something go through that attacks our own food industry. So I'm very comfortable with how this whole thing will shake out, because one thing you can say about Donald Trump, He knows how to deal. And I haven't seen anything he's done, and I don't think anyone can point to any trade deal or any international deal he's done that hasn't been to the positive.
Yeah, and the art of the deal, right? And we hear that this all could go away and this whole trade situation could revert back to normal by October. What's going on there?
Well, here's the problem, is that Donald Trump has actually thrown a big bomb right in the middle of our commercial trade agreements. We need to keep in mind that right now what we have going on with our allies is there's the division we have with our allies. We've got these tariff wars on the brink of happening. We've got competitive currency devaluations. We've got global debt loads. If you paint and look at the picture that we have today, and you compare it with the 1920s and 1930s and the commercial breakdown, what we have is a situation where trade partners are becoming trade competitors, and they're becoming very aggressive about this. And this notion that Donald Trump is in the art of the deal, give me a break. Just today, we were finding out that North Korea is doing what? They're revamping their entire nuclear program. Donald Trump walked away from that and made a bad situation worse. And so at the end of the day, what we need to keep in mind is that with these competitive tariffs, with these competitive currency devaluations, global debt loads, at the end of the day, if we're not trading with one another, there's an old saying that if goods can't cross borders, soldiers will. And that's where we're heading with Donald Trump. He doesn't know what he's doing commercially or with trade.
Well, with trade, what about the fact that Europe puts a 240% tariff on our motorcycle industry? So somehow these countries, 25% tariff on our automobiles into China, these things are starting to be changed. So we don't have, but the best thing going on right now is our economy. And Donald Trump has done that, and I know that upsets Democrats.
No, that's Obama's economy. We'll take credit for that.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
But here's the
okay. We got to wrap it up. Please go ahead.
Okay. At the end of the day, what's happening with Donald Trump is a disaster. Mark my words. We'll be back here next year with some type of economy collapsing around us. So.
All right. You get the last word tonight, Dr. Martinez, and stay tuned for that. The outcome of that. We'll see whether or not it's prophetic as it sounds.
I'm a prophet.
Put this down right now. Let's get this down next year.
All right. Kathy Abernathy, Mark Martinez, thanks for coming in.